Welcome to Technical Taekwondo. In this course, you'll learn the proper method of kicking and defensive movements for Taekwondo today. By the end of this course, if you're an athlete, you'll be able to properly perform kicks for Taekwondo and defensive maneuvers for Taekwondo today to successfully increase your scoring potential and performance. If you're a coach, you'll be able to teach these techniques to your athletes to help them better realize their potential. Let's get started. All right, so the very first thing you want to learn in Taekwondo when it comes to sparring is the Taekwondo guard position. This is where all your kicks are going to come from. So during this technical kicking course, you really need to be technical with your athletes or as an athlete when you're learning this so that you are in the proper position each time you start a kick. Eventually, you'll be able to internalize that starting position when you're kicking so you don't have to physically think about like where your feet, where your hands are every single time. But you got to be meticulous, especially as an athlete, especially as a coach, when you're doing these things to ensure that your athletes are building a solid foundation or kicking position from that guard position. So this is how the guard position should look, all right? We're going to have Kenny here get into the guard position, and we're going to kind of explain what's going on here, right? So the very first thing you see is this hand going straight down on the body, right? This is to defend against cut kicks, which we'll go over later, not only in this course, but in other courses as well. And notice that his hand or his fingers is up, kind of facing towards what a would-be opponent, where a would-be opponent would be, right? And the reason why his hands is up, this is what we call an active hand. Right? An active hand engages the muscles. So if he needs to do something like block his body, block, there you go. He can move his hand over. Block his side, he can move his hand over. Dead hand, if he's just letting it hang there, right? He has to engage the muscles, then move it over in order to block successfully. And that's just too slow. So we don't want to be, hindered by those types of things when we're trying to block. So we have that hand active. The next thing is having his backhand across the body, right? Now he has his hand open because he's a little experienced. He knows that some punches might come this way. But if you just have it a little bit more relaxed or whatever and have it across the body, that's fine. What we want to do is say this hand isn't fast enough. This can stop a lot of kicks itself, right? He can also adjust, move up or down on the body as he sees the kicks coming, right? But it's in a nice optimal position to not just, allow openings on the body. So the next thing we want to talk about is foot position. And in this case, your front foot should be facing your opponent. It can be slightly turned, like it's fine where it's at right now for Kenny. And then your back foot, you see how his is facing directly to the side? That's kind of to support hopping backwards and forwards, right? So that's the optimal position for that. Here's the Taekwondo guard from all angles. The very first kick that we'll learn in Technical Taekwondo is the most used kick in all of martial arts, which is the round kick. Now in Taekwondo, we have variations of the round kick, right? So we have your back leg round kick, which in sparring terms we call off the line, pretty frequently. You have your front leg round kick, which we call the appa. We also then have your skip round kick, and then we have a sliding round kick. And all these variations matter, right? So you want to make sure you master all these variations, primarily so you don't do something by habit. We don't want to do anything by habit in the Taekwondo lab. We want to do everything purposeful, right? Everything has intention, right? So we'll go over later what these variations can be used for, to kind of mess with your opponent's timing and things of that nature. But in this video, we're just going to go over how to properly do these kicks for sparring. And the first thing we're going to learn is the back leg round kick. So there's a proper way to do back leg round kicks for Taekwondo sparring. And it mimics the way that we teach it in traditional classes, right? With the 90-degree chamber. Let's see a 90-degree chamber. And then your rotation and your actual kick extension, right? The only difference that you'll see between sparring and traditional classes is the speed at which you do it, right? So we don't want to segment our kicks when we're learning the back leg round kick and for sparring. We want to do it as fast as possible. And the way that I help my athletes, especially beginner athletes when they're learning, is to tell them to kick on the count of 1. So that means that by the time they finish saying 1, their kick should have already landed on the paddle. And in the beginning, I'll physically have them say 1, which I'll show you right now. And then later on, you can stop saying 1, and I'll show you a demonstration of that as well. All right? So just for these purposes, slowly lift that knee up straight towards me, rotate, and extend. All right? And then back. Now he's going to do that super smooth, right? He's going to do that same thing so you can see all parts, right, with no break in between, extend and then put his leg back. Let's see that one. There we go. We're going to do that one more time. Good, super smooth. Now let's do that while saying 1.
1.
There you go. And again.
1.
Good. Now he's going to do it super fast saying 1. Super fast.
1. 1. 1.
Good. Slow that down. You should be able to see all parts of the kick, right? The knee raise and everything. Notice they call it an off the line because he's coming off the line, like his leg is on the line, right? So now he's not going to say 1. Again, super fast. Have that 1 internalized, right, in your head and just kick. Good. So the next round kick variation you'll learn is the front leg round kick. And the front leg round kick, since the leg is already in front, the knee is already like kind of facing your opponent slightly, right? It's a little bit of a different feel in order to do it properly, but still has some of the same mechanics since it's just that you're not bringing it from the back leg, right? So in this case, I want him to lift his knee straight up. Then he's going to rotate and kick. Good, just like that. And again, you want to do this super fast, right? Which means that by the time you end up saying 1, the kick is already done. Let's watch that slow again. Knee up first, rotate,
1,
and extend. Good. Now let's see that super fast with the athlete saying 1.
1. 1. 1.
Good. Now let's internalize that 1. No 1 this time. Good. Slow that down. You should be able to see all parts. Knee rotation and then the extension. So you've learned the back leg round kick. You've learned the front leg round kick. Now we start practicing the kick moving, right? And the first moving technique you learn with your round kick is the skip round kick. And it's pretty basic, it's pretty, fairly easy to do. However, there's a proper way to do it, which is why we're here today. And the proper way to do that is by skipping, or what we call hopping, sometimes forward. And what's going to happen, he's going to replace his front foot with his back foot. So his back foot replaces his front foot, and then he lifts his leg up, already in round kick chamber position to the side, right? Ready for the kick. Let's just see the foot replacement and just slow down. Not necessarily slow motion, but just kind of do a little hop and hold your chamber and come back. Let's see that.
Aisha. Aisha. Aisha.
So now that you've seen the replacement of the feet, right? Now we're going to actually add the kick to it this time.
Aisha. 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 Aisha.
So now we've learned back leg round kick. We've learned front leg round kick. We've learned skip round kick or hop step round kick, whatever you want to call it in your program. Now we need to learn the sliding round kick. And remember, all these kicks have their different usages, which we'll go over later, right? But we have to learn the proper way to do them for right now. So a sliding round kick, unlike the skip round kick, where you actually move the back leg first, right? So let's watch that in slow motion one more time. Back leg, moves, skips forward, right? Go back. You actually lift the front leg first for sliding. That's literally how I teach it, right? Is I teach with, hey, skip back leg first. Sliding, front leg moves first, right? So to teach it, I tell them just lift your front leg. Now hop forward, just a slightly, and then they can put it down, or kick and then put it down, right? So for these purposes, let's watch it slow down. Front leg, hop, and then the kick. Good, go back. Good, one more time. Good, just like that. Now, we're going to see it in a semi-fast motion, right? So I still don't want you to do it fast, but I want you to lift and slide forward and kick. Good. Now this is what I would call stage 2, right? We did 3 motions, which is 1, 2, 3 is the kick. Now we're in 2 motions now. So lift and then hop and kick at the same time. Good. 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 So now they mastered the first step. They mastered stage 2. Now let's move on to stage 3, which is putting all this together, hopping and kicking at the same time. So by the time your back foot lands back on the ground, the kick should be done. Let's see that in motion. While the round kick is the most used kick in all of martial arts, we know that in Taekwondo today, the most utilized kick is the cut kick. But there's a proper way to do the cut kick, right? So this is that video, Technical Taekwondo. We're going to show you how to do the cut kick properly. So what is a cut kick? At the very heart of a cut kick is basically a side kick, right? But you got to make sure your side kicks, your rear leg side kicks are on point before you can start learning the proper way how to do, your cut kick. And it's a side kick, but from the lead leg, right? So if we just take those motions and kind of slow them down, you see lift the leg, rack it. See that? That's side kick chamber position. Then you got the extension, right? You got the extension of the kick, right? It's basically a side kick. And you do that in many different variations, right? But you want to learn your round kick variations first. So when you move to the cut kick variations, you can perform them a little bit more seamlessly, right? So just space out a little bit. So the first thing we'll learn is your rear leg cut kick, which is basically a side kick, but with the hop. So if he was to do a rear leg side kick without the movement, rear leg side kick, you see that? You see how his back foot doesn't really move? He's still in pace. He can reset himself. A cut kick always travels, right? You always want to chase your opponent. 9 times out of 10, they're going to do this. They're going to shuffle. So you want to be able to chase your opponent to land that cut kick. So to do a back leg cut kick, you want to do it just like a side kick, but hop forward on the extension. It should look like this. Good. And from there, you could do a whole bunch of follow-ups, whatever you want to do. Some of the drills we show you later in the other 2 courses. But that's how you perform your back leg cut kick. So the next cut kick that you learn is skip cut kick. Just like your skip round kick, except you're using the bottom of the foot, right? Again, it has different usages. Depending on how close the opponent is, how far you want to travel, should look like this. So what we want to do, exactly like the skip round kick, we want to replace our back foot with the front foot and then lift our leg up in side kick chamber. Let's see that. Good, just like that. And then there's an extension. Good, right? Let's try that again, slow motion so you can see the movement. Step, lift, and then the actual extension. Good, should look just like that. Now let's see that in semi-fast motion. There you go. Good. And then you have your third variation, which is your sliding cut kick. And your sliding cut kick, remember, if it's skipping, back leg first. If it's sliding, front leg first, right? So he's going to lift his front leg first, hop, then extend. And that's really what you see today, right? You see a lot of people doing that, not a lot of the other 2 variations. Which, again, if you learn the other 2 variations, you can stop doing stuff out of habit and start doing stuff because you want to, purposeful, right? So, and again, they have their usages. So let's see that semi-fast, right? So you can kind of see all motions. Good. If you remember the round kick video, that's stage 1, right? 3 motions. Now let's see stage 2, 2 motions. Good. Good. Now let's see stage 3. 1 motion, super fast. Yeah.
Paso. Paso.
Good, just like that. All right, here in the Taekwondo lab, we're going to settle the debate between what is a crescent kick and what is an axe kick, right? There's a lot of terminology floating out there, and it can be like really confusing. So we're going to try to help with that confusion here. And the way to help with that confusion is that if you lift the leg up and you go this way, it is a crescent kick. If you lift the leg up and it goes this way, it's an axe kick, right? We don't differentiate between inside, outside crescent kick, outside, inside crescent kick, inside, outside axe kick, outside, inside axe kick, right? We only teach axe kick one way, right? And we only teach crescent kicks one way. That way, it diminishes the confusion amongst athletes and our students. And you'll learn later when it comes to cueing, when it comes to coaching, right, that it helps athletes actually out there on the mat, right? What if your athlete's on the mat, you tell them do axe kick, and they look back at you and they say, inside, outside, or outside, inside, right? We don't want that to happen. So axe kicks are this way, crescent kicks go this way, right? And in this video, we're going to show you the proper way how to do an axe kick for sparring. All right, so in this video, we're going to show you the proper way to do axe kicks. And in the Taekwondo lab, we teach to do axe kicks over the shoulder. And the reason why is because things that come over the shoulder, like crescent kicks, right? The athlete, elicits a certain response when they think certain things are going to happen. So if it's coming over the shoulder, they might dip their head instead of shuffle back or leaning back, which allows you to come right down on top of the face if it's an axe kick, So that's one thing. Second, in the Taekwondo lab, we teach most of our kicks anyway, to come from that cut kick position. Why? Because the cut kick is the most utilized kick in all of Taekwondo today. So if he shows me a cut kick, I'm going to clam up like it's a cut kick, right? That's what I'm going to do. But what he's going to do is then turn his body kind of forward till that knee is up, and he's going to come over the shoulder instead, just like that. So you want to show that cut kick, get me to block like I think it's a cut kick, and then finish that hop forward and come over the shoulder. Notice how he's hopping forward when he does this axe kick. That's really the only way to do it. There is one in place for defensive, but if you're attacking, it should look like this. We'll show you the defensive one next. So he's going to show cut, come over the shoulder. Good, just like that. One more time slow, then you can speed it up. Now let's speed that up. Good, show that cut first. Good, last one. Good, just like that. All right, so that is the attacking axe kick. Next, we're going to go over the defensive axe kick. So it's basically doing your axe kick in place. This one you don't really have to worry about too much as far as showing the cut kick because it's defensive. They're coming in, right? So get a little closer to me. If I were to slide into you, he will lift his knee up so that's going past the body, right? Let's actually switch so they can see it on this side. So if I were to slide in, he will lift his knee up to this right here. Let's just lift the knee. Boom, you see that? You don't want to swing your leg all the way out. Swing it like they do in traditional classes a lot of times, right? You see that? A lot of times they'll swing their leg sideways to try to do an axe kick. You never hit anybody with that, right? So you want to lift that knee right up behind the back, then go over that shoulder. Good, and hit just like that. That's how that should look. Let's go ahead and switch so they can see it come down on top of the paddle. All right, so we're sitting here, we're checking, we're motioning, and then when we're training, I always want to give him the response that he is going to see. What I don't want to do is just sit here and tell him to keep doing continuous axe kicks over my shoulder, especially if he already knows how to do them. That's not going to help him out, right? So we're going to give him the stimulus that he's going to see here, and then boom, he comes down on top. We move, check motion. Boom, just like that. Last one, check, fake. Good, just like that. After axe kicks, you want to go right into teaching the proper way for crescent kicks. And crescent kicks is a little similar. The only difference is that you're kind of swiping across, right? Instead of going straight down on top of, whatever attacking surface you want to attack. And it should look like this. So kind of turning this way so you all can see. what's going to happen is the very first thing I want him to do is put his hands on, right? And make sure you're not grabbing when you put your hands on. You're literally just using the palm of your hands and placing pressure. This is so they can't block, right? You want to give them the only opportunity to have is to dip or maybe try to disengage. And even if I try to disengage, he's going to follow me, right? So it doesn't even matter. This is the only option you really want to give them is to dip, right? Same thing. Do not swing. Same thing as axe kicks, I mean. Do not swing your leg out to the side to try to do a crescent kick, right? You'll see that coming from a mile away. Many types of ways to defend against that. You want to lift that knee straight up to where the back is, right? Always on the side of the body. Then you want to swing that leg over. Good, just like that, right? So if it's a 1, 2, 3 type motion, hands, knee, swing over. Good, just like that, right? And how does that look in, fast motion? We're here, we're moving. Whenever he wants to crescent, he'll come in. Boom, just like that. Good, and make sure that's immediate, right? A couple ways you want to do that. Whenever you clinch, right? Or if you want to come in and put your hands on, kind of make that almost like a mandatory punch, crescent. Right? Come in, clinch, try a crescent kick. And those are the proper ways to do that. In this video, we're going to learn how to do the proper way to do the back kick. And the back kick, there's really only one way to do it, and that's defensively, right? Defensively for what we call the closed position. So let's get in closed position. And defensively means what sometimes we might refer to as on the motion. On the motion is when somebody's coming in towards you. A lot of times, sparring competitions, especially amateur levels, you'll see them throw a back kick out of nowhere. Throw a back kick out of nowhere, and very rarely does it ever really land, right? If you want to maximize the opportunity to land the back kick, you do it on the motion when someone's coming in, right? Kind of like that, right? So how do you do that? Let's break it down into steps, right? So you're in your proper guard position with your active hand and your feet, and you really want to hop with the turn. So you want to hop with the turn, and you want to put your foot where your knee is. Let's see you hop turn. Good. So he hop turn. Let's turn this way so the camera can see. So I want you to do your fighting stance facing the camera. All right, facing the camera. And then I want you to hop so they can see your foot. Hop and turn. Boom. You want to hop to this position. Good. And relax. Now come back facing towards me. So when you hop towards that position, then you want to extend your leg out. Now, I know, again, in Taekwondo Lab, we only teach things one way. So at some schools, they might say, hey, when you do your back kick, make sure your toes are pointed down. And when you're sparring for Taekwondo, you want to make sure your toes are facing towards the side. And the reason for that is to increase your scoring potential, right? Because the sensors are on the bottom of your foot. There's several, and they're in several areas on your foot. So if you want better scoreability, turn that foot to the side so you can have more surface area to hit the body other than, only being able to score with your heel, right? So he hops. And then he extends his leg, make sure those toes are to the side, just like that. Very simple. 1 and then 2. 1 and then 2. Let's see that. 1, 2. Good. One more time. 1, 2. Good. Just like that. Now let's see that fast motion, right? And remember, we always give looks representative of what they're going to actually see on the mat. So we're going to shuffle, check. He's going to wait till I come in. Boom, and then he's going to hit his back kick. Good, just like that. Reset, check, motion, boom. And we don't worry about fakes in the Taekwondo Lab. You get faked out, don't go, I just missed, right? We don't do that. You get right ready for the next technique. You're always ready. Fakes happen in the tournament world, the competition world, right? So just be ready again for that next one. Good. Good, just like that. In this video, we're going to show you the proper way how to do a hook kick for Taekwondo. It's going to look a little weird, but trust me, everything has its place. Let's get started. So we're in our closed stance, and kind of like a back kick, hook kicks are only meant to be used defensively. He just does a spinning hook kick or a hook kick out of the blue from where he's at right now. It's not going to have any scoreability. It's not going to increase his chances of scoring. You really want to do it at a precise time, which is, again, what we call on the motion, right? So in order to do a hook kick properly, what you want to first start off is just by training it to the body, then we can go to the head later. So let's talk about what it looks like on the body. Step one, you want to look exactly like a back kick, right? So step one of back kick, you put your foot that you want to kick with to your knee. And then he's going to shoot this leg straight back as he's still facing that way. And then at the last second, when he turns his body, he wants to flip into the paddles. Boom, just like that. That's how that should look, right? So that's just the foot portion of that, which we're going to do right now. So step one and step two. Good. Now let's do step two a little bit faster than that. One and then two. Good. One, two. Good, just like that. Now we're going to add the third step to it. And the third step is really leaning forward to get that head out of the way, right? A lot of times, especially international competition, somebody's trying to do a Natabon or a tornado kick or an axe kick to the head, and you're going to let them come forward, especially if they're going over that shoulder, right? You're going to lean all the way down. Step one, lean forward. Step two. Right, we want that head out of the way of all that. You really kind of want to create like a T, right? So if you think of being all the way over like this and your body up like that, it creates a little T. So that's kind of how you want to look, right? Let's see, one, and then two, lean forward, boom, just like that. Now again, we want to do this defensively on the motion. So I might give him a couple looks, He's going to do this one really fast, and bah, good, just like that. Couple looks, and good. Hook to the body, right? Hooks to the body are scoring a lot more in present day Taekwondo than they used to, so make sure you give them a try. The next hook kick we want to go over is head level hook kick. Again, defensively, right? So somebody's coming forward, maybe with their cut kick, maybe with the back leg round kick. You want to take that front leg, come right over the shoulder, boom, and hit just like that. So how should you do this? Kind of similar to how you're doing your axe kicks, right? Everything is really just about body position. So if he's lifting his knee up, let's switch so they can see. If he's lifting his knee up right by the body when I come in, all he's going to do is flip it right over that shoulder, right, to finish the kick, right? So knee up, you can either do it in what he just did, side kick position, or you could do your knee up like this and kind of whip it depending on your flexibility. He's flexible so he can hit it, right? But if you're struggling with flexibility, just lift your knee straight up. And then kind of, when you turn, whip your leg over the shoulder. You see that? If you're struggling with flexibility, try that one to get you some momentum. If you're not, side kick position. And whip it over. Boom, just like that. But again, we want to do this defensively. So switch, check, we're motioning, and boom, just like that when he sees me come forward. Check, motion. That's how you want to do your hook kicks. All right, so we learned a lot of kicks so far. And it's really important to master these kicks in order before you come to these more advanced kicks. And the reason why is because if you can do them, in this order, this sequential order, by the time you get to this kick, you'll be able to know what we're talking about without us having to go in too much depth to segment the kick. And that's why we're going to learn tornado kick, or what we call Natabon in sparring terms, in this video right now. What is a tornado kick? It's basically a round kick, right? Really a lead leg round kick. So if you look at his lead leg round kick, front leg, good. That's how it should really look, right? Again, we learned round kick in the earlier video, so we're not going to worry about teaching you what that round kick looks like per se, other than how to complete or execute or tornado kick a Natabon. And it's fairly simple, right? He's going to turn around towards his backside, just like he did, right? Towards his backside. It's very important. Go back. So his back is this way, so he wants to turn around towards his backside, right? Just like that. And when he turns around towards his backside, good, go back. He's going to take his back leg, lift his knee up, and it's going to come around with him, and it's going to stop when it's on its opponent. Go ahead. Back leg, knees up. It stops when it's on its opponent. And from this position right here, all he's going to do is just hop and kick with the leg that's on the ground and go. Good, just like that, right? Fairly simple. Again, if you master shuffling, moving backwards and forwards, this should really be easy for athletes who are at the stage to learn this kick, right? So let's see that in 1-2 motion. 1 is the spin, 2 is the hop and kick. Good. One more. Good, just like that. Now let's kind of see it in fast motion, what it should look like. We're bouncing, we're moving, and he's going to go when he wants to.
Muscle.
Good.
Muscle. Muscle.
Good, and there's many different ways to do it. Notice that he's kind of in the general same vicinity, right? That's one way to do it, to kind of fake your opponent out. You can also travel. You see a lot of traveling. So let's say I'm over here. Let's get him to hit the paddle from where he's at.
Muscle.
Good, back up.
Muscle.
Good, just like that. So what it requires, if he was to do this a little slower than he's doing it right now, it requires a hop while you're executing that kick. So the turn is kind of in place, right? Kind of in place. Turn in place, right? And then hop forward, kick the paddle.
Muscle.
Right, you see that? A lot of times people will tell you what happens is that he's turning his body and it's forward. No, if he's spinning, he's kind of in place and then he hops, right? One more time.
Muscle.
Good. Fast motion.
Muscle.
Good.
Muscle.
Good. Now notice with these kicks, we didn't mention it in the round kick video or the cut kick video, but a lot of these kicks are stopping down the center line, right? Notice he's not doing a back leg round kick or a front leg round kick and his leg is all the way over here beside the opponent, right? Even if you miss your round kick, it should end down your opponent's center line. When you do your Natabon, it ends down your opponent's center line. And that's the proper way to do your tornado kicks. In this video, we're going to learn the proper way to perform a twist kick. Let's get started. So your twist kick is fairly simple. The difficulty with the kick is the flexibility of the athlete. But this is something that I start my athletes on literally at white belt or beginner level, depending on where they are at in your program. Just a little bit on that. White belt and beginner level are, while they're not the same thing, they're considered the same thing in the sparring program. Why? You might have a black belt that comes from a school that did not do any sparring, right? But they, you're honoring their black belt and they want to start sparring, they want to get good at sparring. So you start them at the beginner level, probably in your white belt classes. Hopefully, they stick it out until they get better. They might breeze through the program faster, than a white belt would, obviously, but they start at the same level if they don't have any sparring experience. And because of that, it might make this twist kick difficult. But if you start them at the beginner or white belt level with, these advanced techniques, by the time their flexibility catches up, they'll be able to do them. What you don't want to do is start teaching these techniques when they get their flexibility, up. You want to do it at the beginner level, have them kind of struggle with it, and then their flexibility gets better because of that, and they still might be able to use these techniques. So again, your twist kick is fairly simple, right? Again, we kind of want to start our kicks that are coming off the line or straight towards our opponent and the cut kick position. And the reason why we want to do this is to kind of, trick our opponents. If we're doing cut kick, cut kick, cut kick all the time, when we lift our leg for a cut kick, that's what they're going to be prepared for, because that's the stimulus they've been getting, most of the round, most of the match, right? So he's in cut kick position. Go ahead and lift the cut kick. And then from here, he's just going to turn his foot slow motion, and twist kick these paddles.
Muscle.
Good, slow motion, slower than that so they can see. Boom. And all he's doing, right, put leg down, is using the top of his foot to hit the paddles. That's the way we do it, right? So it's a little tricky. Notice how, just go ahead and put your instep on the paddles. See how he's turning his foot over so it smacks flush, right? It takes you to rotate your ankle as well so you can hit the paddles properly. So how does that work? What we've been seeing a lot in international fights is people doing this on the motion where someone's shuffling in, right? Somebody's coming in with the cut kick maybe, boom, you see the twist kick hit, right? Let's see that in fast motion, just in place.
Muscle. Muscle. Muscle.
Good, now let's work that on the motion. It should look like this.
Muscle. 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 Muscle.
Good, just like that. In this video, we're going to learn how to punch for Taekwondo. So Taekwondo sparring, when we punch, we always want to punch from our backhand, right? And the reason why is because that's the only hand that the judges more often than not are going to score. But there is a proper way to punch for Taekwondo. So what he's going to do is he's going to turn his body square towards me as he lifts his fist. And see this downward slope that he has from his elbow to his hand? You really want to go downward on top of your chest or the chest protector in order to get that point. And then after he hits, you always want to clinch off, right? Wait till the referee resets. And then you go back to your position, right? Don't create space after that for, your punch not to score or for you to get scored on from your opponent. So it should look like this in slow motion. He's going to turn his body. Boom, clinch off and then reset. Turn his body, punch, boom, and then reset. Now let's see this in fast motion. Should look like this. Good. Good. One more time. Good. That's how you punch in Taekwondo. In this video, we're going to show you how to do underkicks the proper way. So we set up in our fighting stance, right? The biggest thing about an underkick, or all an underkick is a back leg round kick, but with some differentiations, right? And the reason why they call it an underkick is because 9 times out of 10, you see it when someone's doing a front leg technique like a cut kick, they'll cut under, maybe an axe kick, they'll try to cut under. That's why they call it an underkick. But in order to do it successfully, especially to fool your opponent, a couple things you want to do different. One, you're not going to rotate on your front foot as much as you usually do for your back leg round kick. You do your back leg round kick, your toes are kind of facing behind you, right? We're not going to do that for this one. Another thing is you turn your body all the way over to the side for your back leg round kicks. We want to try to do this with minimal turn in our shoulders as possible. Here's the slow motion one. Good. Back leg round kick. You want to try to turn those hips over while keeping all the parameters and then smack the paddle. Let's try that again. Notice his shoulders don't turn fully. Notice his front foot doesn't turn fully, but he's still able to get a good smack on the paddles, right? Let's do that in fast motion. Good. Now let's do that with a sort of stimulus, right? So he might see a cut kick. Let's see if he can underkick under my cut kick. Good, just like that. Good. That's one. Wow. Good, just like that. That's how you do underkicks. In this video, we're going to show you the proper way how to do a spinning hook kick for Taekwondo sparring. All right, so if we're in our fighting stances, right? And again, kind of like your back kick, it's only effective if you do it defensively. If he just did a spinning hook kick out of nowhere just now, it's not going to land. Sometimes you perform drills where you might do a back leg round cut kick, back leg round kick, spinning hook kick. It's really not useful in those types of drills either, right? You really want to do them defensively. So what you might do is with your drills to alter your drills to make sure you're performing your spinning hook kicks in the way. You might initiate where the person holding the paddles might do a cut kick and then a back kick, and then or the person doing the spinning hook kick will do a cut kick and then a back leg round kick, and then he stops, and then when I come in, he performs this spinning hook kick. That's a better drill to really get where you should place these kicks. But in this case, we're not doing those drills. All we're doing is the proper technicality for performing a spinning hook kick, and it should look like this. So step one is kind of just like a back kick. Let's see step one, right? And then step two is kind of just like a side kick. Let's see step two, right? Just a chamber position, good. Chamber position of a side kick. And then what you do is you reach the leg out and then hook it over. Should look like this. Boom, just like that, right? So let's do that slow motion one more time. Let's see number one, back kick position, right? The beginning part. And then step two, side kick chamber, right? And then 3 is the hook. Boom, just like that. Let's see that fast motion. Should look like this. Good. Good. Last one. Good. Now we said we do those on the motion, right? When you see a certain stimulus, so it should look like this. We're bouncing, we're checking, we're motioning. When he sees me shuffle in, boom, then he hits the kick, just like that. Motion, check, and boom, hit the spinning hook kick. Those are how you do your spinning hook kicks for Taekwondo sparring. Almost. In this video, we're going to learn how to do a front side body block. All right, so Kenny here in his fighting stance is going to show you how to do your front side body block. And keep in mind that this front side body block is for all techniques coming towards this front side of the body, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a twist kick, a hook kick to the body, a back leg round kick, a appa, anything like that. You want to use this block for anything coming to the front side of your body. So how do we do that? The very first thing that you do is you just take your front hand and swing it over to the front side of your body. Right there is probably fine. And you take your top hand, move it up some, and stack it literally on top of each other just like this, right? And the reason why is for a couple of different reasons. Up here, right, there's no sensors. It's not a valid scoring area. If somebody hits you there, more than likely is it going to score. Same thing in this general region right here. If a cut kick hits here, it's definitely going to score. But over here, if they're trying to use a round kick, sensor's probably not going to touch it. So this is the stack you want. Make sure you don't have a gap, right? People who are really good, really advanced, they put feet or their foot in between that gap. So make sure you don't have no gaps there, right? So Kenny's gonna come back to his fighting stance, and I'm just gonna throw kicks to the front side of his body. He's gonna utilize the same block for each one of them, just so you can get an idea of how this works. Should look like this. Just like that. In this video, we're going to show you the backside block. So in Taekwondo, you can score to the backside. So we're going to show you the block that you need to utilize in order to not get scored on there. So Kenny here is going to get into his fighting stance. And when any technique, again, back leg round kick, twist kick, appa comes towards your backside, you want to utilize this block. So he's going to take his hand, he's going to swing it to the back, and he's going to bend it ever so slightly, right? This bend is highly important. And the reason why is because if it's straight, a lot of feet wrap around and they still get the point. With the slight bend, you can't wrap, you can't get the point. So make sure you bend it slightly, but it's a very small movement. So it should look like this. If he was to do it in fast motion, perform, just like that, just a small movement. You don't need to go out so far. You don't need to go out crazy far from the body. Just right here towards the backside, make sure you have a slight bend. Again, any technique coming towards the backside should look like this. Just like that. In this video, we're going to show you how to do the head block. And the head block, it's a little different on both sides, so make sure you're paying attention to realize what you need to do if it's coming from an open stance position or a closed stance position. This first one, we're going to show you in a open stance position. So Kenny is going to get into his fighting stance, and I'm here. And there's a lot of ways people throw crescent kicks, right? But it doesn't really matter. If anything is coming towards your head, you need to perform these blocks, right? So in this case, I'm gonna demonstrate with a crescent kick, but if it's a round kick, if someone's trying to do a hook kick to the head, you wanna perform the exact same things. And we'll try a couple of those later on in the video. So for these purposes, just so you can see how it's done, let's say I throw a cut kick and I come in the clinch, I put my hands here on and I throw, the crescent kick. All he's gonna do is throw that hand up and try to close distance. That's literally every single time something's coming towards that head, right? Block, close the distance, and what I tell my athletes, wait till the coach breaks, right? Wait till the referee rather breaks. That way you don't create space, you don't create distance, and have the opportunity for them to, get a point, right? So what if we're in close stance position? I'll turn this way, same thing, right? I'll put my hands on and throw the leg, and he'll throw his hands up and try to close space in the clinch, right? So say we're in a regular stance like this, and I'll do a back leg round kick to the face. Same sort of deal. Right? Same sort of deal. So let's go over how to do that specifically. Let's go ahead and just put your hand up. Because a lot of people, they'll keep it bent like this. They'll have it right here in the face. They'll do some other variation. What you want to do is have your hand straight up, kind of out at an angle like that. Again, it prevents people who are super flexible. Some people can do it anyway, right? But it helps out for people who are super flexible that can kind of still wrap that foot around the head to hit the head, right? So make sure you're up and you're at an angle a little bit. Here's a couple more for you on each side. So we're going to alternate. Good. Good. Ah, good. Just like that. In this video, we're going to show you how to do the most useful skill in Taekwondo, and that's shuffling, right? So in Taekwondo nowadays, when you see people fight, a lot of times when they move out the way, you don't see them blocking a lot, which is what you learned in the previous videos. You see them shuffling. You see them not being there for the technique at all. And this is how you do it. All right, so Kenny here is going to get into his fighting stance, right? And the way you do shuffling is, a lot of people, you'll see beginners, they skip. Go ahead and show us a skip, Kenny. Right? They do that, which is basically he puts his front foot where his back foot is. Put your front foot where your back foot is, and then slide his back foot back. We don't want to do that. And the reason why we don't want to do that is because you need to be in the position to kick at all times. And the only way to be in position to kick is if you remain in a, kicking or fighting stance. So Kenny's going to reset. Reset, Kenny. Good. And when you're shuffling backwards, which is the first type of shuffle that I teach because it's easier, you want to lift your back leg up first. So hold your back leg up. And what you do is you push off your front leg to propel yourself backwards, and push and put your foot back down. Notice that his feet stays in the parameters of specifications for his fighting stance, so he can always kick from this particular position. All right. Now shuffling forward is the complete opposite. If you want to shuffle forward, you lift up on your front foot, hold it up, you push off your back foot forward, and then you put your front foot down. Notice again, he's in the parameters of what a fighting stance would be. So if he wants to do a back leg round kick from here, a front leg oppo, whatever the case may be, if he needs to shuffle again, he's in the prime position to do so. And that's how you do shuffling for Taekwondo. In this video, we're going to show you how to step back in Taekwondo. Now, this technique is a little bit of an older technique, but I still teach it to my students because it has some usages in today's Taekwondo. We might go over those later in the coaches course, so stay tuned. But for this video, we're just going to show you how to do your step forwards and your step backs in Taekwondo. All right, so Kenny here is going to get into his fighting stance. And stepping forward and back is very simple, right? What you're going to do is take your back leg and step forward. And step forward again. And take your front leg and step backwards. And step backwards again. Now this is really helpful when you're shuffling and you shuffle back 3 times and you want to step back to get more distance. So shuffle back 1 time, Kenny. And then step back. Good. Shuffle forward 1 time and then step forward. So it allows you to mix up your footwork a little better. That way you can not get called for gamjeongs depending on the referee's discretion. In this video, we'll show you how to do side steps in Taekwondo. Side steps for local competition are really, really good, but as you get higher up the chain, you see them not used as much. They're kind of obsolete in high-level Taekwondo. We're going to show you how to do it anyway, teach your beginners, and then they can graduate from it later on once they kind of develop into their own personal style. This is how it should look. So Kenny here is going to get into his fighting stance, and to be able to perform the side step, what you want to do is push off your front leg. So again, if you're pushing off your front leg, that means you need to lift on your back leg. And when you're moving, you go backwards and to the side at an angle when you're doing your side step. Just like that. And I'm going to have Kenny switch so he can show this on his other side. And he's going to lift his back leg, push to the side and go backwards a little, and then put his front foot in front. Just like that. All right? So if you were to do this in fast motion and side step, switch, side step, switch, just like that. In this technical defense video, we're going to show you how to do drawing, or what some people like to call absorbing. It looks like this. All right, so the first thing Kenny's going to do is, again, take his front foot, slide it all the way back to his back foot. He's going to take his hand to where the palm is facing forward towards his opponent. That way he can catch or trap that cut kick. And this is how it looks with an actual opponent. So Kenny's in his fighting stance, and I throw my cut kick towards him, boom, and I put my leg down. The reason why this is more useful than a shuffle or a slide back is because he's out of the way. In this case, he's not out of the way. When I put my foot down, he can oppo to the back. He can twist kick towards the front. He can throw his back leg if he wants to. He can back leg crescent kick if he wants to. Right? There's a million different things that he can do from this position since he's close by now by drawing and absorbing. In this video, we're going to show you how to do swiping in Taekwondo. Very advanced technique, but if you get it, it's very useful. So Kenny here is going to get to his fighting stance, and I'll get to my fighting stance as well. He's going to switch sides. That way you can kind of see the technique. So when you swipe, right, you want to use, step back for a minute, just step back. You want to use your backhand, the one that's right here in your guard position, right? And then you want to kind of leave it here. So notice, come back forward. See how it's across his chest? Good fighting stance. It's across his chest now, right? You can't really see it from the position you're in, but watch when he steps back. His hand stays here, right? It stays here while he moves back. And then say a cut kick was coming right here. He's going to turn over to where he utilizes the back of his hand and swipe the cut kick out of the way. That's how a swipe works. The reason why you want to use your backhand is because if you use your front hand, you get called for holding, right? That's a gamjung. You don't want to do that. So that there's no issues with that, you want to use your backhand. So it looks like this in real time. So he comes forward, switch sides. All right, and we're going to do this in slow motion. So if I lift my leg up, I hop forward, boom, and my leg gets sent this way. All right? Again, the reason why the swipe is so good is because while my leg is in the air traveling, because he swiped it, appa, back leg, crescent kick to the head. There's a lot of things he can do from this position. So watch again. This time we're doing fast motion. All right? Ah, good. Ah, good. Just like that. One more time. See if I can fake them out, and boom, just like that. That's how you do a swipe in Taekwondo. In this video, in technical defense, we're going to show you how to jam and how to do the clinch. Now, a lot of times in Taekwondo, the clinch and the jam are synonymous, basically meaning that they're utilized for the same thing, but they do have, or they are, very different depending on what's going on in the match. For instance, let's talk about jamming for a second. With jamming, it's mid-technique. So for instance, if Kenny here sees that I'm about to throw a back leg round kick and he hops into clinch, go ahead. Good, just like that. That means that he jammed my technique, right? He didn't allow me to score or utilize my technique. That's jamming. But what if I don't do any technique? What if we're just sitting here and he just hops forward and clinches? If he does that, then what that means is that that's a clinch. No technique was happening. He just wanted to clinch off, wait till the referee resets, right? That's how that works. So how do you do, either of those? Again, this is an advanced technique, so there's really no one way to do it properly, but this is how we do it here in the lab. Typically, it's just a shuffle forward, right? So if I'm throwing my back leg round kick, he's just going to shuffle forward until our chest collides, like this. Good, just like that, so he doesn't get hit by the technique. Clinching is kind of the same way, right? He's going to kind of shuffle forward, like if we're bouncing, and he thinks he's quick enough to shuffle in before I can do any technique. He's going to wait and do it on his dime when he thinks it's appropriate to do so. Boom, just like that, right? So you might notice the person going up or coming back down, right? Little cues like that can kind of help you to know when to jam the opponent. But it's different from person to person. So when you can jam, when you can clinch is different. Now let's talk about like our hand positions, right? So this clinch, Kenny, look at where his hands is, or are rather. Notice how his arm and hand is open like this. It's the exact same way on the back side. The reason why is if you clinch and you do this, again, you get a point penalty for holding, right? So we don't want to do that. Hands are open like this. You can also put your palms on. So sometimes he might put his palm on the backside and his palm here, right? That's perfectly okay too, as long as you're not clamping down like that to try to get for holding. And the reason why I kind of like that, or I teach that rather, is because you want to block these arms coming up from blocking. So there's a whole host of ways you can do that by applying pressure, right? So you can maybe utilize your back leg, crescent kick over the shoulder, or he can wrap around me, period, and kind of pinch in with his elbows when he clinches, right? Now I can't lift my arm up to block. That's where that crescent kick to the face can come, right? So you really have three different positions, right? Shuffle forward, hands like this, right? Or applying pressure to one particular arm so you can come over the backside of the shoulder. And that's how you do a clinch or a jamming technique in Taekwondo. In this video on technical defense, we're going to show you how to cancel. And canceling is one of the more popular techniques that you definitely need to learn for today's Taekwondo. This is how it's done. So Kenny here is going to get into his fighting stance. All right, and all canceling is lifting your leg in kind of like a side kick chamber position. And it's the front leg. So side kick chamber position. And what we're going to do is kind of leave his arm here. So notice the arm just kind of lifts up when the leg lifts up. And relax. Now watch his arm and leg lift up in that side kick chamber position at the same time. Go. Boom, just like this. And the reason why, if I'm cut kicking here, you're not super flexible, which, I'm not. I like to help and use my hand to move the kick out the way. So if he was to use his hand, it's my cut kick, move it out the way. Boom, just like that, right? So not only are you blocking the kick, you can throw the kick, and then that might open up opportunities for you to score. So it should look like this. Boom, just like that. He puts his leg back down, move, I might bounce, try to fake him out a little bit, and cut kick again, boom. But notice this, that's all it is the side kick chamber position, right? Now, more advanced, what you might learn is that you use your cut kick, lift up your leg, and then when the cut kick is here, you kind of use this foot to hook and then kick out and then move the leg over like that. Some people teach that as well. So we'll do that one for these purposes as well. But if you're not really as good as that, lifting your leg up and utilizing your hand is just as good. It should look like this with the kick out this time. That's how you do a cancel.